few more join. I know it's hard with everyone in school and not having substitutes, but we are going to get started. Quick reminder about the graduate credit. If you are taking it for graduate credit, both of you were in my session earlier, so I know you've heard this. Just make sure on the form where you get the Zoom links that you go ahead and fill that information out and mail it to Leslie Charles at Muskingum Valley ESC. I'm still struggling today with my technology in my good studio, so we're working on the desktop, so I'll be looking off screen a little bit. But what is Reading Progress? So if you've not heard of Reading Progress, and possibly Carmen, did you attend my session in October when I just did a quick overview of Reading Progress?
I did not.
Okay, so good. So I'm assuming it's newer to Danielle and it'll be new to Carmen. Reading Progress is a product in Microsoft Teams. And I'm not a Microsoft Teams champion. I'm firmly in the camp of Zoom for video conferencing and Google Suite for everything else that we share in the G Suite. Having said that, Microsoft Teams has an application within its suite that allows us to do Reading Progress. Now, it's an app that supports learners in building fluency, and it's through independent reading practice. Educators can upload a single reading passage or choose from a passage that's already loaded in Reading Progress and assign it as an assignment to the students in your class. It will differentiate, and you can also choose from Lexile levels. Or, like I said, you can upload your own text selection. And we're going to actually open the program in just a little bit after I go over an overview so you can see it. Learners read the text aloud. So they're using the embedded tools in Teams, camera and microphone. It's a video conference. So they're using those tools that already exist in Microsoft Teams to help with reading coaching practices. So students will read the text selection using the microphone and the camera in the Teams program. And then it will allow the teacher to see and hear the fluency of the passage, and it also will analyze that as well. So the app itself, Reading Progress itself, will actually analyze the reading passage as if you were doing the reading record yourself. You know, it's a miss, it's an added word, it's a skipped word, it's a mispronunciation with correction. It does all of those things that a great reading coach is doing every week with Reading Progress. It also is doing what you're doing as an elementary teacher to capture those reading text selections that are so important in your classroom and so time consuming within your day at the same time. You know, there's really probably a little more important in that K2 classroom than checking for reading fluency and progression and having the data to support that your students are progressing. So Reading Progress, like I said, is embedded in Microsoft Teams. Now, I want to say it's nice to have two districts that are managed by ECO ESC Tech Support. So I can say it pretty clearly, but I also have I'm part of the tech delivery of your district technology. All of our districts that we serve at the ESC, with the exception of one or two, have Microsoft licenses for their staff. Are we using Microsoft? No, we're all G Suite. We've got Google email, you've got all of, yes. But for our tech department to create and manage user accounts in the way that we do for both staff and students, we also have Microsoft subscriptions. The new pricing and package that's required for us to give licenses to staff now includes Teams. We don't deploy that because there's a million reasons we're not deploying that. And that's not in the plan. Everybody's in Google and it works. Google Enterprise is serving perfectly what we need it to do for students and staff. So the first thing that you're probably thinking is, why is she sharing something that Microsoft has that we're not going to buy? Well, we have it. Caveat number one, it does need turned on for each staff member, which is okay. I work with your tech directors on a daily basis for students to be tracked the way I'll show you. It also needs to be enabled for the student accounts. Also can be done. But what we have in place, for example, with your Google settings now, for instance, the way your students can and can't chat with each other, the way students access Google Classroom, and the way other districts can't get to your classroom, all of those security settings that are designed to keep you safe, your staff safe, and your students safe, that's done in the G Suite admin console. Microsoft Teams have those same settings. We don't have those settings worked out because we're not deploying them to students and staff. So if this is something that teachers in our districts really do want to invest in and really try to deploy, there are conversations that we're already having internally that we just need to make sure we've got our ducks in a row, so to speak, as they go out into the classroom. So the answer is not going to be no. It will be, hey, we got to make sure we've got the settings, and this teacher wants to use this in their classroom with these students, and what's it going to look like next? Now, when you're out with colleagues in other districts that we don't serve, or districts that might not be using Microsoft licensing for staff creation of accounts, it may be a different conversation. But for us, for ESC schools and ESC districts that we manage, Teams exists for you. We're able to enable that access for you. And then there are some additional conversations and dialogue that need to go on surrounding what it will look like as you learn it with students, as you use it with students. Now, sorry, this is what happens when you're using core devices. As I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of always embedding other people's videos, but this is something I've been working on and accessing students who I have the ability. So staff, children of staff is who I piloted with, because those children didn't have an active account yet, but they could log in, the parent could log in, they're an ESC staff member, and the child could actually take the reading passage. But Microsoft does have some really great short snippet learning sequences and practice sets that go along with Microsoft Reading Practice or Reading Progress. So I went ahead and I'm going to share a couple of those videos. They're quick and short. Again, I don't always like to share videos that others have created, but in this instance, some of these are going to do a much better job.
Literacy is so important, and it's my job to help the kids grow in that and to see the value in that and to break the mindsets of like, oh, I'm just a bad reader, I don't like to read.
I don't have to worry about other people just looking at me and staring at me. It's just reading to myself, sort of, but on camera.
When I came across Reading Progress, I was able to say, hey, I've assigned a passage to each and every one of you guys at your reading level. I want you to record you reading this passage. I was surprised that when the whole class came back, literally within 10 minutes, everyone was already done. Having that recording, I'm able to spend ample amount of time to analyze. And instead of using my instructional time, it allows me to use my planning time to figure out, how do I intentionally approach every student? The whole class, this is what I'll teach them. And maybe this one specific individual student, I need to address with him or her this specific area. Reading Progress has really motivated a lot of kids to work harder and kind of gave them ownership of their learning.
Well, as a mother and an educator, you know that the conference with the student is the most powerful piece. It's not necessarily them reading and recording. It's what you do with that reading and with that recording. And she's able to capitalize on that even faster now.
It probably helps me be a better reader because I can actually listen to myself. And if I did say a word wrong or something, I'd be able to say it better than next time because I know that I said it wrong.
Struggling readers, they struggle, so they avoid reading. And by avoiding reading, they struggle even more. And so it's been really cool to watch how my kids are, reading more at home, They're more excited to read in the classroom. They have their personal goals that they've made, not me. And so they're excited to work.
Coming from an administrative perspective is that this isn't just a classroom tool. Because we have so much access to data, that this is a powerful tool to change the learning trajectory of a building. But watching her grow in her reading, it's been a joy for me. I used to love reading as a child, and I wanted that for her.
Now in that way you see I'm more confident. I'm less worried about it. Get worried about a lot of things, but reading now is one of the things that I'm not worried about anymore.
I want all of my students to get to the point where they know what it feels like to get lost in a book.
Favorite part is when I get to a really interesting part in the book and then I can't stop reading it, and it's really fun.
So that is just a quick introduction. And I want to be very clear. Reading Progress or any other tool like that will never replace the classroom teacher to develop that fluency and passion. It will never replace the reading coach that's able to pull students out and work in a targeted manner. This is not going to replace those trained human beings that work daily with our children. But what it is doing is giving you an additional tool in your tool belt, giving you some additional time back to be more intentional with the students that need targeted and or extended approach to reading fluency while you're working with fluency and gaining data with all of your students along the way. I just don't want it to be perceived as, well, this will replace a coach. No, it doesn't. It can't. It won't. But what it does do is allow you additional time and practice and data. So as I had said earlier, most districts have Microsoft accounts for the teachers. You don't always see it, which is okay. It's okay. I do also need to stress, probably should have had it in banners and in bullet points. Everyone at the Educational Service Center that's involved with the dyslexia laws and the dyslexia courses and the dyslexia training. This is not, Reading Progress is not on the approved screening list. It is not a screener. It's not listed as a screener. It can't be used in place of the screener. It does not meet the criteria as the current dyslexia tools exist. So it's very important, as I've started doing these trainings, that our curriculum staff right away were like, please don't cause any confusion. I'm not. I won't. This Reading Progress does not meet or have anything to do with, at this point, any of the requirements that are coming down the pike that we have to do for the dyslexia requirements. So just so that we are all on the same page with that. It also, like I said, it uses the camera and the microphone technology from Teams meeting. And if you're not familiar with Teams, Teams is Microsoft's version of Google Meet and Zoom. Teams is Microsoft's video conferencing tool. The feedback for students is really clear. Even in the children that I had try this before I started diving into it, all three of the staff members' children I targeted, asked to participate. Both the parent and the child considered themselves to be not great readers, struggling readers. And in all three of the cases, the students right away said, well, this was so fun. Can she give me another one? And that's what the Microsoft data is showing as well. They get to see and hear themselves reading. The assignment allows them to stop and restart. Now, these are things that on the surface an adult might be, they can see themselves reading all the time, but they can't. When a child is reading a passage and when a child is reading a selection, especially when it's designed to see where they're at. It isn't going to be familiar text or a familiar story or something with a lot of background knowledge. When they're reading that to process, that is their full focus. They're not going to look up at the mirror. They're not going to look at their friend. They're looking at the text because the text is their job. And so the feedback immediately for a lot of the students that have been using this or have been involved with this is we get to see and hear ourselves. We can figure out what to correct. Oh, that didn't sound right when I played it back. So there's some self-correction. Again, it does not replace great strategies, great instruction, great intervention, but it is allowing us another tool in the tool belt for students and for readers. It also provides an additional opportunity for teachers to engage in that reading practice. So the next video I want to show you is what the reader sees. And I promise we are going to dive in. I am going to open it and create an assignment with each of you. But I wanted to show you a few of these first. So what does the student see when they begin this assignment?
To see the student view of a reading progress assignment, select the specific assignment from the list of assignments. The first time students access a reading progress assignment, they need to allow their device to access their camera, microphone, and speakers. Learners can record on PC, iPad, or mobile devices. Students will then see themselves on the screen and can select the Start button. If the reading is timed, the time available is also visible on screen. Students can customize their reading experience with Immersive Reader before they begin reading, including text size, theme color, and the spacing between letters and words. Students then begin reading the passage aloud. When students get to the end of the passage, they select I'm done. If time is up, students will automatically exit the reading view and receive the message, time's up. Then, after students finish reading, they can hear and watch themselves read. They can try again if they wish to try again, or select Use this recording. When a student selects Use this recording, the video is uploaded and attached to the reading progress assignment. If the educator had Reading Coach enabled for the assignment, the student will be prompted to review 5 words before submitting the assignment. Students select each word to practice reading the word aloud. Students use the aloud tools such as listening to the word, stretching the word, and viewing a picture of the word. Reading Coach listens to the student read the word, then provides instant feedback on the pronunciation of the word. Students practice the words with feedback as part of the reading progress assignment. To turn in the assignment, students go to the upper right-hand corner of the assignment and select Turn In.
All right, so that is just that overview of what the students are seeing. And then I apologize, I have to pop back over. I've got what the teacher sees.
To review students' reading progress assignments, choose Assignments, and then select the assignment you'd like to review. Then select an individual student's assignment. This will take you to the teacher review experience of reading progress. This page provides words per minute and accuracy rate based on mispronunciations, omissions, insertions, repetitions, and self-corrections. By default, Auto Detect is on, but teachers can toggle it off and then manually mark the reading passage. For this teacher review scenario, we are going to leave Auto Detect on. Later on, we will review the passage with Auto Detect off. Educators can also change pronunciation sensitivity and select what type of report students will see when they view their returned assignment. Notice that the reading report is synchronized to the recording of the student. An educator can review a section of the passage or the entire recording. Select any word in the passage to advance the video straight to that word.
Therefore, the rulers of the universe.
Then an educator can watch and listen as the student reads that selection. Select a word that was said correctly and choose Mark as Correct to manually update the reading report. The words highlighted in red are ones the student did not read, so they are marked as omissions. The words highlighted in green are ones the student read, but were not originally in the text. They're marked as insertions. The words highlighted in blue are ones the student repeated. They're marked as repetitions. The words highlighted in orange are self-corrections, meaning that the student originally mispronounced the word, but then self-corrected. If a student did not complete the reading passage in the time allowed, the unfinished words will show as grayed out in the teacher review and are not counted against the student's overall accuracy. Educators can check on student word practice in the reading coach through the reading report. Educators see attempted progress as well as which tools students used to successfully speak the practice words.
And then I did, and the reason I'm showing this last one, the analytics and insights, is in part because while the student, oh, is everyone seeing me frozen? Was the video frozen for everyone?
I wasn't seeing the video at all. I was only seeing you. I don't know if I was supposed to be seeing the video or not. That's why I sent that message.
Carmen, did you see the video?
No, it was just the screen with you on it.
Same.
Good grief. I'm sorry. Well, let's stop. And I didn't see the chat because I obviously. All right, well, this is the analytics, and the reason I'm showing this video, the data of it, is because when the students read in my teams, and I'll show you this when we sign in, it's not loading for me now, and we're not sure if it's filtering or if it's something that we don't have set right in Teams, because the students, I don't have students, I'm an ESE. So we just don't have that piece. So I pulled this video. This is what the teacher sees when students' assignments have been made.
Insights in Teams provides class and student information about performance on reading progress assignments. Select the reading progress card to access more data about class and student progress. The Reading Progress home screen provides data for the entire class on fluency for all students and all reading levels. Insights provides data on student errors, including omission, insertions, and substitutions. Self-corrections and repetitions will also appear in the Insights data. These are visible to the teacher, but will not count against accuracy. Hover over data points on any graph to see additional information on each assignment. Insights provides educators with a word cloud of commonly mispronounced words for each data point. The bigger the word appears in the word cloud, the more mispronunciations were found. Hovering over each word displays how many times each word is mispronounced. Educators create a new challenge assignment for students straight from this dashboard. The challenge assignment is created automatically, and learners completing the assignment will practice the selected challenge words through the reading progress activity. Choose a reading level, genre, or time period to filter for specific data. To isolate a specific student, search for the student in the search box, or select an individual student from the student list. Select a student name to start a chat conversation with the student, or view an individual student's reading progress report. In this view, educators can analyze individual student performance on fluency assignments and even create individualized challenge assignments. The information in the reading progress reports can also be exported to Excel for an additional data view. Educational Insights Premium is an additional option that allows schools and districts to combine data to analyze data from reading progress, providing a comprehensive view for any system.
Okay, so that is the Microsoft overview of reading progress. So what are your thoughts so far? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and jump into sharing the Microsoft Teams. You should be seeing my Teams, and I'm already signed in to kind of save just a bit of time. And once you're in your Teams, once you've started using Teams, you create Teams not for a meeting, but instead you're going to be creating this more like an individual Google Classroom, so to speak. So you can create teams by class. So that would be your class. So this was my Reading Coach demo. And just like Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, this portion allows you to do a lot of different things. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not getting on the Teams bandwagon, so to speak, to make a switch, just trying to familiarize you a little bit with what it looks like. So when you're in the Teams portion of your Microsoft suite, it's Teams, and then you've got homepage, class notebook, assignments, grades, reflect, insights. It's got that flavor of Google Classroom. But to create a reading progress, it is an assignment. So it's always going to be found in assignments. Oh, now this is spinning too. There we go. So I already had some assignments created. And this young man is the first grade son of one of our technology staff members. And he turned it in, he loved it. And he will tell you he doesn't like to read, and his mom agrees. He's what they are still considering a struggling reader. He's in first grade, so they have time. But this is what we have found. Yes, both yesterday and the day before when I was preparing for the rest of this presentation, the feedback now spins. And earlier I was able to see his fully completed assignment. So I'm just going to jump back out of that. And I'm going to go to assignments. And this is what you'll do if you're thinking about doing a reading progress assignment once you have your Microsoft ready. We're going to create a new assignment. And of course, just like anything else, we can give it a title. We can give it instructions. And then we're going to attach, but what we're attaching is reading progress. So it's an assignment, and you can attach something from OneDrive, which you're not using, a notebook, a link, or other Teams, but we want to attach a reading selection. So in the assignment, we're attaching reading progress. And so now, right here, you can import a Word document or a PDF file. So if you have text selection from your reading textbook series, or if you're using Reading A to Z and have those in PDF, you can import selections from Microsoft Word or from a PDF, or you can browse the sample library. For today, I want to browse the sample library just to give you an idea of what's readily available. So Carmen, what grade do you teach, if you don't mind me asking?
I've got 5th and 6th grade.
All right, so we're going to go to 5th grade, and we're going, because everybody knows nonfiction is where we all struggle. I don't know why, but I don't understand. I think it's because I was such a voracious reader. I do not understand why fiction is always so much, like, students show progress so much more quickly in fiction than they do in nonfiction, when the words are the same, the Lexa. But I'm not teaching in the classroom every day anymore, so I don't have that theory behind it anymore. But when you clicked on 5th grade, then you can choose to sort by genre, Lexile level, and or word count. So the Lexile level is going to tell us, you know, the Lexile and the word count. Now you can click preview. So before you assign it, you can see it. And let me see, I'm going to try to make that just a tad. No, it's not going to enlarge for you on this screen. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak to you today of a grand idea. Dream with me for a second. Imagine being able to travel inland in this fine state of New York without having to risk the treacherous Appalachian Mountains. Imagine a way to travel from Albany all the way to Buffalo. Imagine the benefit of such transportation. And it is a passage by ReadWorks. So when they're using a passage from somewhere, they're also documenting it briefly. So I'm going to go ahead. I didn't think that was necessarily what I wanted. So let's go ahead and do Earth Science, the weather. And I'm going to select that. So it does show you, the teacher, as you're creating this assignment, the title, the word count, and you can choose the student view just to kind of see what it's going to look like. So now we're previewing the student view. Look, the student gets a picture of the camera. The student can see the microphone is working. Those are tools that are familiar to them now. And then when you press start, which that just popped out for you guys, I think, it gives them the passage. Weather is made up of several different components. In order to understand weather, you must understand air temperature. So I'm going to stop. And I want to get out of, then you mark, the student has to mark I'm done. Let me share my Zoom screen again for you. And the student can choose, I'm done, use this recording, or try again. And it won't let you do that if you're the one viewing the student view. So I'm going to click exit the student view. Now we've got this assignment for our student. We've looked at the reading level. It is nonfiction. Now, how many times do I want them to try it? Do I care? I'm going to let them do 3. Do I need them to have a time limit? Is this a timed fluency? Are we looking at, so if I don't have a time limit, I'm going to say no time limit. What do I want the pronunciation to be? Less sensitive, default, or more sensitive? You can choose that based on each child that you're making the assignment for. So until you're comfortable with how a child who may have a speech impediment is reading correctly in this program, you might want to make the pronunciation less sensitive until and then you can go back through and kind of gauge that to make sure that it's not a speech pronunciation instead of a mispronunciation. And that requires you or that reading coach, or you can make it more sensitive. You can turn reading coach on or off. And as it said in the video, when reading coach is turned on, it identifies the 5 most challenging words and automatically gives that child support for independent practice. And I would advocate requiring the video, and here's why. Both in the Microsoft documentation and the training materials they've put out and the examples they're using, and in that limited trial I've done with the students myself, they love seeing themselves read. So require video. Because when you select require video, it will force the camera to come on the device they're using. When you've done those settings, you click next. And then it comes back to the assignment page. You can choose to give it points or no points. If there are points, you can add a rubric, which you're not using it for a grade, so that doesn't make a lot of sense. You can choose who to assign it to. So if you have students in your class, you can choose whole class or individual students. You can set the due date and the time. And if you'll, for our districts that are Google, you'll never be adding this to their calendar because your student calendars are Google calendars. And when you add this product to a calendar as it's asking you, it's their Outlook calendar. So you just wouldn't do that. You would make this assignment and link it through their Google Classroom as a web link, or give it to them as specific directions without the additional help of it appearing in their Google Classroom when they sign in, because we're already dependent, we're already using another cloud-based system. And then for you, you can choose to receive notification for late turn-ins. When you get it set the way you want, you choose assign. And now the students have a new assignment that can be finished at their time. And I just got a notice. Michelle Carlisle added an assignment. No one's turned it in yet. So because it's linked, it does that for you. So that is reading practice in a nutshell. What I would ask for you to do, if you're interested in more, is go ahead and I had the link, and then when I rebooted my computer, it did not stay on the tab. So let me find that quickly. There it is. So there are, like I said earlier, there's self-paced short classes, and this is where I got those video links from, but I had done some, we were at a technology conference in June, which is where I saw it in person the first time. Microsoft had a booth and a lunch and learn at the booth, and one of the lead trainers was doing an in-person training on reading progress. So that's when I saw it in June. And so I started diving in to take a look at it. So there's 2 webinars on YouTube, the same presenter. So he's actually used his child and another child, and he uses that in the training, from the child reading up through the screenshot of it being scored, and then using the analytics. But in addition to that, Microsoft Learn has some self-paced documentation. They're short. There are 11 units in individual snippets, and they just walk you through what this is going to look like, how it can be used, and what the big picture might be. What questions do you have? Well, this did not go the full hour, in large part because until more people can sign in, it's difficult to actually complete it live. But I hope that you don't feel like I've wasted your time by not taking you all the way to 2 o'clock. The next session is from 2 to 3, and it's with Teresa Sherman, one of our coaches from Ohio Valley ESC, and she's going to be showing us more about using Mote with the Google Classroom. So she's using it to allow personalized, more quick feedback. And if you don't have anything else for me, I am done with this session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carmen. Have a great day.
You too.